Bibliophiles of the internet. My name is Adriana, and today I'm here to wrap up the last month of 2014 and let you all know what I read in December. So without further ado, let's get to the books. The first thing I read in December was a graphic novel, and that was the third volume in the Lock and Key series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. I don't want to say too much about this volume. I really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite of the three that I've read so far, and this one really introduced a lot of new and unique and exciting keys, I think more so than the first two volumes. But I really enjoyed reading this third volume, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great, and I'm really eager to continue on with the series soon. The next thing I read in December was Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I'm not going to say anything about my thoughts on this book because I did a complete video review, and that will be linked in the description below if you want to know more of my thoughts. The next thing I read was a buddy read, and that was with Penelope from Penelope's Picks, and together we read Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. Before I go into synopsis and thoughts on this book, I want to give a brief trigger warning because there are scenes in this book pertaining to rape. It's very brief, but it is present, so I feel like if you're interested in this book in any way and that is triggering to you, you have a right to know. This book is the first in a YA fantasy series. It's about a character named Yelena who has been imprisoned for murder, and basically she is next on the chopping block. She is the next one who is going to get executed, but before that happens, the captain of the guard takes her aside and offers her a deal. And this deal is that she can either go ahead with her execution as planned, or she can become the royal food tester, whose job it is to obviously taste all of the food and all of the drink that goes to the head commander to make sure that it's not poisoned. In very nice terms, this book was not for me. It didn't sit well with me. It wasn't my cup of tea. Whatever phrase you would like to insert there, I did not enjoy it. What really kills me is that I really liked the beginning of this novel. I love the premise, I love the idea, and when it all started to unfold in the very beginning, I was very intrigued, I was invested, I was interested in seeing where it was going to go and where our main character was going to take us. There was a lot of questions about her past, and I wanted the answers. Let's just say that by the end of this novel, I couldn't take these characters or this story seriously anymore. I have no interest in continuing on with the series, and I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. On a much happier note, the next book that I finished was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the first book in the Raven cycle. Again, another quick obligatory trigger warning. There are some brief instances of child abuse or domestic abuse, however you want to label that, in this book, so if that is triggering to you, I would say approach with caution. On one hand, this book is about the main protagonist, Blue Sargent, who is the only non-psychic in a family of extremely gifted psychics. And for as long as she can remember, all of her family members have been prophesizing that if she kisses her true love, that person will die. That's only one part of the story. The other part of the story is with the title characters, the Raven Boys, who are these 4 boys who go to this extremely elite private school in the same area as where Blue lives. But their lives unexpectedly collide, and the more that Blue spends time with them, the more that she realizes they're on a quest to discover an ancient Welsh king named Glendower. And legend says that whoever discovers Glendower's body and wakes him up from the dead will be granted one wish, anything that they want. What I have to lead off with when I discuss this book is Maggie Stiefvater's incredible writing. Her writing for this series is very poetic. She is very conscious of how the words sound, the rhythm of the writing. She is very good at shaping passages and selecting words that really punch and that really reveal character. I think that's what's essential, is that she uses her language so effectively to reveal these characters, and they're all stunning. And there are so many truly unique, fantastical elements incorporated into this story, and it took my imagination to places that I never knew it could go. In short, I thought this book was absolutely amazing. It surprised me. I was swept up in it. It was so magical magical, and just fantastic overall, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next 5 things I read I finished during the Christmas Booktube-a-thon, and I made an entire wrap-up just for that, so it will be linked down below. And the books that I talk about in that video are The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, Zeta the Space Girl, The Heroic Legend of Arslan series, Blankets by Craig Thompson, and finally a non-fiction book, Safekeeping: Some True Stories from a Life by Abigail Thomas. The next book that I read was Half a King by Joe Abercrombie, which is the first book in the Shattered Sea series. I've talked about the synopsis of this book a couple of times on my channel, but just to reiterate, this is a YA high fantasy series that is about a young prince named Youve. He is considered a cripple. One of his hands is not fully developed, and so in many ways a lot of people in his kingdom don't really consider him a man because he can't be a soldier, he can't physically defend himself, and that is how they define masculinity. Youve has an older brother who can ascend the throne and become king, so he decides to study to become a minister so that he can give up all of his rights as an heir, and so that he doesn't have to deal with that pressure of being expected to become a king one day. But of course, things never go according to plan, and Youve does end up having to ascend the throne rather hastily after some really terrible things happen. And once he does ascend the throne, he realizes that the people that he keeps closest to him might not be people that he can necessarily trust, and some people betray him and actually sell him off as a slave, and then it's an adventure for him to get back to his home kingdom and to regain the throne, which he never wanted in the first place. I have to say that even though this book is by no means perfect, I thought it was really exciting, a really quick read. It's very addictive, especially once you hit the middle part. After I hit a certain point in this book, there was no putting it down for me. I had to know what happened next. My main criticism of this book is that it could have benefited from a lot more development, world building, character building, stuff like that. And even though it's beneficial to the pace of this book to be action-packed, I felt like because there was something always happening, the reader never got the chance to ever settle in any given scene. So even though there were definite ways in which I think this book could have been improved, I still really enjoyed it, and I am very eagerly awaiting the release of the second book in this series, but I gave Half a King 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read my arc of The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy by Sam Maggs. This book touches on so many awesome topics, like how to break into fandoms, how to decipher fandoms speak, how to make your first con experience a success, and how to battle internet trolls, and so much more. And it's written with such care, wit, and awareness. I think it's just great. I think that Sam Maggs is just one of those people who really gets it, and she understands what fandoms are and how fandoms can contribute to social change. I had such a great time reading through this book, and it was a very easy 5 out of 5 star rating for me. And then I read The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami, which I'm sure you saw in my last book haul. This is a perfectly titled short story about a young male protagonist who goes to his library on a whim just to look something up and ends up being trapped in this labyrinth below the library. And while he's down there, he experiences so many weird and creepy things and encounters some very strange characters, and he has to figure out how to escape the library. This book is extremely atypical. It's very outside of the box, very different, and the things that happen in this book are very weird. I'm not just saying that, I mean it. And I think that's very beneficial to Haruki Murakami as an author, because he was able to continuously surprise me and to continuously bring up these unexpected turns in the plot, because since this book is so out there and so strange, there's no way you can predict what's gonna happen next. So I would definitely say that the fact that it's so surprising is a positive thing. In short, I really enjoyed this story and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And the very last thing I read in 2014, actually on New Year's Eve, was Night of Cake and Puppets by Laini Taylor. This is a novella for the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, and it focuses on Susanna and Meek and how they met and got together, and it's just wonderful. It's imaginative, it's magical, it's romantic, it's highly atmospheric. You feel like you're there, you feel like you are the one falling in love for the first time, and I just thought that it was perfect. Once again, Laini Taylor's writing style is just not of this world. She has an amazing way of taking these emotional cliches like falling in love and making it into something very new, very tangible, and very sensory. This novella was an incredible reading experience and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. In the comments down below, please let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned in this wrap-up, but also let me know what were some of your favorite books that you read in December, or what are you planning to read this month in January. And that's really all I had for this video today, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the flip side of the page. Bye.